So, Rosa, it was interesting. I know you were just ready to leave here, but you mentioned that a few bad things happened that were completely...
A lot of bad things.
A lot of things. Tell me some of these things. You've experienced them, or your daughter experienced them personally. So you said, regarding where was her divorce actually granted, you said it got changed to a different jurisdiction?
Well, yes. I think it was like about a year later when... Anyway, all of a sudden, she speaks to her husband one day and he says, by the way, we're divorced. And she thought, what are you talking about? Nothing has been said about being divorced. He says, oh, yes, we are. She says, well, I don't know anything about it. Shouldn't I know? And he says, well, they did it in a different county. So they changed the jurisdiction in a different county, about 45 minutes or an hour away, in a different, about 45 minutes away, maybe even an hour. And without telling her anything, she was not present, and they finalized the divorce there.
Wow.
So that doesn't sound right.
No, again what happened.
So when she questioned the lawyer, like, what happened? I don't know anything about this. He says, well, his reasoning was that all the other judges in the original court had recused themselves. But strange enough, oddly enough, as soon as it was finalized, the case is brought back to the original court. All of a sudden, now the judges are not recused.
Yeah.
Right?
And
So there's something fishy there. What were they trying to avoid?
Right.
Maybe it's because she had an ADA in place, and maybe the other court did not recognize it or something. I have no idea.
Yeah, but basically what you're saying is she was divorced without even knowing about it.
Without even knowing.
And she was given no notice regarding... Nobody contacted
she
her?
She didn't receive any notice.
Yeah.
Sometime before, the lawyer made some kind of a comment that he was thinking about changing, to a different court. And my daughter said, I have no interest in going to any other court. I don't live there. My ex doesn't, or my husband doesn't live there. And we're not from Dade County. Why would you want to change it?
Yeah.
But he didn't give any reasons.
Yeah.
And then sometime later, we hear that it's finalized.
Yeah.
And we had, no knowledge of it.
Yeah. So you also said, too, that she was forced to sign a paper.
Well, initially when she received the ex parte, she was told that she had the legal right to be heard within 10 days.
Okay.
So she goes to court thinking that they're going to ask her to speak, to be heard. And then never happened. So every time we went to court, she says, but I'm supposed to be heard within 10 days. And so much time is going by.
Yeah.
It was not until 6 months later that she actually spoke in court.
And it was too late at that point, right?
Yeah. And also, because of the PTSD, the legal abuse and all that, she had an ADA in place.
Yeah.
And her ex kept asking for continuances one after another, and they were granted.
Yeah.
And the very first time she showed up without a lawyer, she was at a loss because the lawyer she had just hired the night before refused to go in the next morning.
Yeah.
And so he says, but I know for sure that they will give you a continuance.
And they didn't.
When she asked for it, the judge forced her to be questioned.
Wow.
She had nothing with her.
Wow.
She was not prepared at all. So he was given all these continuances, and the very first time that she asked, even though she had an ADA in place, which are, you have the right to ask, for a continuance, it was not, granted.
Yeah.
Warranted.
So again, tell me about what happened with the visitation order.
Yes. So the very first time that she appeared in court, and she thought she could, be heard, she was presented, she was kept in the room by herself. And her lawyer came in with a form and said, you have to sign this. And she says, what is it? And so he says, well, they're giving you a few days of visitation a week. She says, what's that? Visitations? I want my daughter back. You took my daughter away from me. What visitations? So she didn't want to sign it, even though she didn't really understand what the paper was all about.
Right.
And he forced her to sign it under duress.
Yeah.
He kept saying, sign it. Come on, hurry up. I have another appointment at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and I don't have time,
Yeah.
you know? So what it was is he made her sign for visitation. And
The
he was
attorney.
coerced by the other lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was no judge or anyone that explained to her
What was going on?
the ramifications.
Yeah. How old was she at the time?
2004, she was born in 1981. So,
23.
how old was my daughter or my granddaughter?
Your daughter.
My daughter.
Sounds like about 23.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she was forced to sign for visitations when she did not want to sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he kept saying to her, if you don't sign it, you will never see your daughter. Do you want to see your daughter? She says, of course I do. Well, then sign the paper. And we had a very incapable lawyer.
Well, I'm not sure. This is the question that we have a lot of times. Was it a very incapable lawyer, or was it a lawyer that exploited the situation for easy money? Because of course the attorneys make a boatload of money off of divorce. If you get an attorney for $250 an hour, you've got a bargain deal, right? Mm-hmm. But often it's $300, $400, $500, $600 an hour for an attorney to help you through the divorce thing. But the reality is, on some of these things, that what's the easiest way to make the money? Mm-hmm. It's
no,
not...
I really think he was coerced by the other lawyer. Mm-hmm. Because he was in his 60s and he had just become a lawyer. I don't know if it was 4 years before we hired him.
Yeah.
And he was very naive.
Yeah.
He was easily persuaded by the other lawyer.
Yeah.
And they always met in secret chambers. And everything was decided.
Now that's something that you're mentioning so many different things. These attorneys, do you know sometimes these attorneys, they're meeting in secret chambers? Do you know that opposing attorneys get together for lunch? They discuss strategy. I'm going to do this, you can do this. And what they're doing is trying to raise billable hours. They know, because of these unjust unilateral divorce laws in which the person who's having the divorce filed against him or her always loses. That's a guaranteed result. Mm-hmm. It has to be, because it's written in the law that way. Mm-hmm. For any reason, for no reason, a made-up reason. But these attorneys will get together and they'll give the illusion.
Yes, and judges get together with attorneys.
Absolutely. And,
yes.
And here's the other thing. Who supports the judges in their campaigns? The attorneys.
The attorneys.
And then,
the reviews too.
Yeah, and then they, of course, they're going to, they have good relationships with this judge. Mm-hmm. And what really is important in family court is not what the law says, because the law doesn't really apply in many instances. Right. It's who their favorite,
right.
Who they have good friendships with. Mm-hmm. And it's so sickeningly corrupt.
It's really funny, but I was going crazy. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I actually went to the university. There was a law university in the city. I will not mention the county or my daughter's name or any of that.
Right, please don't.
Just to protect my daughter, because, again, I'm doing this without her
permission, knowledge, anything,
I went to the university and I actually got to talk to the chairman of the department, the law department. It's a law university. And I said, there's some odd things going on in this court. And she says, who is your lawyer? And so I told her, and she did this. No. She says, he's a nice man, but he doesn't understand anything. He doesn't know the law. That's what she told me. Yeah. He's very naive. Now, when my daughter went to court, everything was done in secret chambers. The two lawyers got together, and one particular time, she went to court. The judge sat in the courtroom for 2 hours, tapping her pen on her desk, waiting for the two lawyers who were in a room discussing the case.
Apart from your daughter being there?
Yes. My daughter was in the courtroom waiting. Her ex's family and the ex was on the other side of the courtroom. Yeah. And the two lawyers were in chamber while the judge is waiting. Yeah. Now, does that make any sense?
No, it doesn't. And it doesn't. No. It's a broken system.
And you said that sometimes the lawyers get together. Well, here's another interesting part. When she finally got to talk 6 months later, my daughter, we used to come in with boxes of evidence, and they had absolutely nothing. with them, her
Yeah.
ex.
Yeah.
And she did such a wonderful job explaining the whole situation and showing, some evidence that they were at a loss. His lawyer was so upset when he was questioning me, he took his pen and just threw it across the courtroom. And she did a wonderful job. There was no way that they could have really questioned the integrity of my daughter and what a wonderful mother she was. They even her ex acknowledged that she's a great mother. His father did too, and so did his cousin,
Yeah.
He admitted that he's been a terrible
Father.
man, but now he's a good person.
He just changed.
Right.
Maybe he found
Immediately
religion,
changed
I'm sure.
without any therapy or
Yeah.
any,
He saw the light. Hallelujah.
So when at the end of the court hearing, I saw the judge. She usually left the room, but that one time she actually stepped down, and as his lawyer was preparing his suitcase or his briefcase, she said to him, "Speak to the family." And I thought, what was that all about?